Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Casio MDV-10D-4A1V Duro. This watch is available from creationwatches.com for €52. So firstly, let's look at the box that the watch comes in, and then I'll talk you through the specifications of the piece. So the watch comes in this Casio branded cardboard watch box, and on the side it says 50th Casio watch, because this year, in 2025, Casio celebrate 50 years of Casio watches. So the watch sits inside on a piece of foam inside a cardboard cutout, as you can see. Although basic, it does suffice in protecting the watch in shipping from any damage, and I think it's acceptable to use this basic cardboard watch box, bearing in mind it's a low tier price point piece at only €52. With regards to the items that come with the watch, this is the owner's instruction manual, which is in the form of a fold-out leaflet, clear concise diagrams. The instructions are in English and it also translated into a plethora of foreign languages. It details the operation of the movement used, which is the Casio module number 2784 quartz, which is made in Japan. In reality, the module number 2784 quartz is a rebranded Miyota 2115, which is the same module used in the regular size Duro as in this mini Duro version. This is the warranty card, which is in the form of a fold-out leaflet. It's translated into English and a plethora of foreign languages, and it details the terms and conditions of the 2-year international warranty. I want to give due credit to Casio here, because often low-tier price point pieces, such as this piece at €52, are only covered with a 12-month international warranty. To get 2 years of international warranty is excellent, and Casio deserve full credit for that. And lastly, one also gets this cardboard Casio tag, and on the reverse we have the full reference number of the piece, the module number and the barcode for the piece. So with regards to the specifications of the piece, we have a 36mm case diameter, we have a lug-to-lug measurement of 41.7mm, a thickness of 10.5mm and a lug width of 16mm. The oyster style bracelet tapers from 16mm at the lugs down to 14mm at the 2-button push clasp. 2-button push clasp is solid 316L grade stainless steel, but it's pressed stainless steel rather than being milled. But the Casio logo is engraved with high definition engraving. 2-button push triggers are correctly proportioned, mirror polished to a good standard, no sharp edges, no burrs. Nice large mirror polished bevel, which marks the transition between the brushed satin finished body and the mirror polished flanks. However, the clasp is too small, it's undersized, and we only have the minimum 2 micro adjustment holes in the flanks. I'd like to see Casio upgrade this to a longer clasp, make it from solid milled 316L grade stainless steel rather than pressed metal, and also 3 or 4 micro adjustment holes, because 2 is the bare minimum and 2 micro adjustment holes doesn't give the perfect fit. Now, the other negative of this folded link oyster style bracelet is there are no half links on the 6 o'clock and the 12 o'clock side of the clasp. The problem with full links and no half links is sometimes it's hard to get the correct fit by adding or subtracting one full link from an oyster style bracelet. Having half links on the 6 o'clock and the 12 o'clock side respectively does enhance the fit, because adding or subtracting a half link does centralise the clasp and also gives the correct fit for your wrist size. So Casio really need to consider adding half links, and also either a micro adjustment clasp or alternatively a longer clasp with 3 or 4 micro adjustments. With regards to the rest of the specification, we have a flat mineral crystal with no AR coating on the underside. This is a clear cost-cutting measure, but however, one has to be magnanimous and realistic, because this is only €52 and one is going to see these kind of production cost-cutting measures in order to maximise profit margin per piece and make production of this piece viable to retail at the €52 price point. But however, I think collectors would happily pay an additional €5 to €10 on the retail price to get sapphire crystal with AR coating, because as you can see, when I tilt the piece at an oblique angle, it's highly reflective. There's a lot of glare, it's like a mirror, and this really compounds the highly reflective nature of the silver indices and the silver handset, which are faceted because they are very shiny. Casio have made a mistake here, because with matte orange dials, the convention or the industry standard is to use black indices and black handset, because black indices and black hands contrast better with a matte orange dial versus silver indices and silver handset. Now, the indices have a 3D effect. They look like they're applied to the dial, but they're not actually applied indices, which may come as a surprise to you. Both the regular Duro and this mini Duro are made differently to standard dials used in dive pieces with applied indices. The way Casio make the indices is they actually press the indices through the dial. So the indices and the dial are actually made from one piece of metal, and they use a hydraulic press to form the indices. They press the indices through the back of the dial. So the indices look like they're applied and mirror polished, but they are in fact part of the dial. After they press the indices through the metal dial, they then mirror polish them, and then they paint the dial orange, and then they print the text on the dial and the black minute ticks. Same applies to the regular sized Duro dial and indices as this mini Duro, but they have done a very good job because you cannot see the difference. There's no discernible difference between applied indices and these pressed indices, which are actually part of the dial. They deserve credit because the dial is very well executed. Proportions of the handset are correct. However, the minute hand does look slightly short because it doesn't extend all the way to the black minute ticks on the chaptering. The contrasting blue arrowhead second hand looks too short, but however, there is a mechanical reason for it, so therefore I'm not going to be critical of it. The reason why the minute hand and the second hand are slightly short is because it extends the battery life of the module number 2784, which is in reality a Miyota 2115 quartz, as I've detailed. If they used a larger handset, for example, if the minute hand was longer and the second hand was longer, that would put more load on the module and therefore exhaust the battery life quicker. So therefore it would only have a 2-year battery life versus 3 years. By using a shorter minute hand and shorter second hand, it reduces the load on the module, therefore reduces the battery consumption and therefore extends it from 2 years to 3 years respectively. That's the reason why the hands are slightly short, and it's the mechanical reason behind it. So I'm not going to be critical of it, although longer hands would look more aesthetically pleasing. So just bear with me, I'm going to move the pencil minute hand out of the way, and then you can see the date complication better. So date complication at 3 is framed with a black frame, correctly proportioned, and I like the dial isn't too thick because it doesn't cast a permanent shadow around the white date wheel. So black Arabic numerals, both the singles and the doubles, are correctly proportioned, nice fine fonts. Printing is sharp and crisp, it's not too thick and blurry. Legibility is good, both of the singles and the double Arabic numerals. So let's test the push-pull crown execution. Now this is a notable downgrade in specification, and I'm going to be critical of it. The regular Duro has a 200-metre screw-down crown, which is a credible dive piece specification. This piece only has a 50-metre water resistance. The crown is push-pull, it's not a screw-down crown. Casio retailed the regular Duro at €70 on the rubber strap, so there's no reason why this couldn't have 200 metres and a screw-down crown at €52 price point. It's a production cost-cutting measure in order to maximise profit margin per piece, but it's really a downgrade because this is therefore not a credible dive piece with only 50 metres. So it's a shame it doesn't have the same screw-down crown as the regular Duro. Knurled crown, solid 316L grade stainless steel, mirror polished domed cap, and no sharp edges to the tips of the knurled teeth because it has a large chamfer. I'm not going to be critical of it being a sterile crown rather than being signed because one has to be magnanimous. This is only €52. So pulling it out to the first click position is the quickset date complication. So if you look at the date window, you can see the quickset clicks over with a nice positive click. Both the singles and the double Arabic numerals are clearly legible. The alignment is correct. They're not too far to the left of the date window, and they're not too high or too low. It clicks over with a nice positive click, but it does feel light. So to put that into perspective, the quickset complication of the date feels much lighter than a Seiko NH35A, which you will all be familiar with. It's a characteristic of the Miyota 2115 that it has a light quickset clicking, but it does feel good. Alignment is correct and it clicks over with a positive click. Pulling the crown to the second click position hacks the movement. If you look at the contrasting blue second hand with the arrowhead tip, you can see it's now stopped dead, so therefore it's possible to set the time precisely to the second with the Miyota 2115 quartz. So we're now in the time setting position. Feels smooth when you cycle through the 12 hours, both clockwise and anti-clockwise. 0 joules, it's a very low friction module. Feels nice and tight, reliable and robust, so I like the reliability of the Miyota 2115. Minimal backplay. When you rotate the knurled crown clockwise and anti-clockwise, there's an almost immediate response, so it doesn't have a lot of slack. You don't have to take up a lot of play in the gears. Some backplay is necessary because it prevents the minute hand jumping out of position when you push the crown back in. If it didn't have some backplay in the meshing of the gearing, the minute hand would jump, so that's necessary, but it's minimal, so it's very good, it's reliable and robust. And the same Miyota 215 is used in the regular size Duro as in this mini Duro. The movements, the modules are exactly the same. So it feels good to set the time. Quickset complication works well, hacking works well. Pushing it back in, it's got a nice positive click, and that restarts the module. You can see the second hand begins to tick around the dial once again. But I really think Casio made a mistake here by using a contrasting blue arrowhead second hand, because blue doesn't match anything on the dial or the indices. they should have made the handset black and the indices black because that would match the black text on the dial and also the black minute ticks. Quality of the printing is very good. I like the Casio text logo. It's sharp and crisp. The font is fine. It's not too thick. And we simply have water resist 50M, which denotes 50 meters. And either side of the 6 o'clock index, we have Japan movement because, as I've detailed, the Miyota 2115 quartz is made in Japan. So quality of the printing on the dial is good. It's just a shame they didn't use a black handset, black indices, and they should have made the second hand black rather than blue because black would contrast with the dial better but also match the black minute ticks and the text on the dial. So let's test the bezel execution. Now this is another notable downgrade in specification and a disappointment. The regular Duro has a 120 click unidirectional bezel, which is the industry standard for dive pieces, and it's a credible dive watch with 200 meters of hermetic seal, screw down crown, screw down case back. This mini Duro only has a 60 click unidirectional bezel. It sounds dreadful. Now the clicks are loud and audible, but the bezel itself sounds hollow. It sounds like it's very thin stainless steel. Now contrast this with the regular size Duro bezel. The bezel feels solid 316L grade stainless steel. It feels more dense, it feels thicker. So the clicks are loud and audible, but they feel finer and they also sound finer because the click spring is engaging with 120 clicks. On this mini Duro, it's only 60 clicks. So that the clicks are coarser, they're thicker, and the click spring therefore makes a louder audible sound, but it doesn't sound satisfying. It sounds tinny. The bezel feels like and sounds like a very thin layer of 316L grade stainless steel. On the regular size Duro, the bezel feels more solid, it sounds heavier, and it just feels better quality. So this just doesn't feel as refined. 60 clicks feel rougher, they don't feel as refined and smooth as 120 clicks, and it's a curiosity why Casio downgraded from 120 clicks on the regular Duro to this 60 click abhorrent bezel on this mini Duro. So sounds dreadful, sounds tinny, feels very light. The metal sounds very thin, doesn't feel solid and dense. It's got lateral side-to-side play, which is dreadful. Now to put this into perspective, I have reviewed several versions of the regular Duro and I've also modified it to my own personal specification. But the bezel execution on the regular Duro is excellent. No lateral side-to-side play, no back play, feels even all the way through the 360 degrees. The alignment is perfect, it feels heavy, sounds good, feels good. It's the perfect bezel execution. I like the medium resistance. The resistance of this feels too light. Needs to be heavier. Lateral side-to-side play is dreadful. Also has back play, as you can see. And we're looking at one click of back play. It's a dreadful bezel execution. So lateral side-to-side play, also got back play. Let's check the alignment. It's too far to the left. So it's a misaligned bezel. The Lume pip is slightly to the left of the 12 o'clock index and also the 60-minute tick on the chaptering. So I'm going to check it 2 more times because I want to test it 3 out of 3 times, because when I level criticism at a brand, I like to be consistent. I like to be fair and unbiased rather than biased. So 1 more click, too far to the left again. I'll check it a 3rd and final time, 3 out of 3 times to give it a fair chance. 1 more click. Again, 3 out of 3 times the Lume pip is slightly to the left. They've got everything wrong with this bezel. Lateral side-to-side play, back play, bezel misalignment. So feels dreadful, sounds dreadful, has play laterally, back play, and also the resistance doesn't feel even. When you rotate it through the 360 degrees, it feels too light. That's the other problem. It's not medium firm resistance, but it feels tighter and looser. The clicks do not feel even. The click spring engaging with the 60 grooves on the underside of this stainless steel bezel, they don't feel even. It feels rough and gritty, so it doesn't feel smooth, but the other problem is it gets tighter and looser and it has significant lateral side-to-side play. It's dreadful. They've got every single aspect of the execution incorrect. It's one of the worst bezels I've experienced. Now, one has to be magnanimous. This is €52. It's a low-tier piece. But the regular Casio Duro is only €70 on the rubber strap. That has 10 out of 10 perfect bezel execution. 120 click, feels medium firm resistance, no lateral side-to-side play, no back play, perfect alignment. Every single time it's bang on 60, bang on 12 o'clock. There's no reason why Casio can't do it with this mini Duro. They are capable of doing it on the regular Duro. So this bezel execution 3 out of 3 times is a disappointment. It's dreadful. Right, so Let's look at the bracelet and clasp in detail. So, oyster style bracelet tapering from 16 to 14. Now, first thing I want to discuss is what we're looking at here is mistake after mistake. The taper on this bracelet is incorrect. 20 to 16 is the industry standard. It is perfection personified for good reason. Now, I appreciate this is a 36mm and therefore a 20mm bracelet width to 16 is not going to be viable with these lugs. 18 is the other industry standard. Nobody is using a 16 to 14 taper on a 36mm head of the piece because visually you can see 16 looks too thin. There's not enough meat on the bracelet. And when you get down to the clasp, 14 is dreadful. It's far too thin. Clasp is undersized and underproportioned as a result, but the bracelet itself is far too slender. So 16 to 14 looks like a dress piece or a lady's watch. This does not look like a gentleman's watch. So they should have made this 18mm tapering down to 16, which would have added more meat on the bracelet, and a 18 to 16 taper would have looked more aesthetically pleasing and better balance a 36mm head of the piece. It's really a shame that Casio did not make this in a 40mm or a 39, and then they could have used a 20 to 16 perfection personified taper. 36 looks too small, and the taper on the bracelet also looks dreadful at 16 down to 14. So, articulates freely, doesn't feel stiff or kink, that's the positive, but dreadful play. Play in every single direction, lateral, side to side, up and down, longitudinal play, and of course it rattles. So this is down to poor tolerances in the folded end links and also the folded link in the bracelet. The hole is simply too large. The spring bar is undersized for the holes in the end links, and you get this poor quality tolerance as you can see. It should be an interference friction fit, but it's sloppy and it rattles. It's dreadful. Let's check the other side for continuity. Again, articulates freely, doesn't feel stiff or kink, so that's the benefit. Negative is play in every single direction, rattles, and it's significant play. Look at the amount of play. 2mm plus in every direction. This is absolutely dreadful. This is a disgrace to Casio. It's one of the worst end links in a folded link bracelet I've ever experienced, and I've reviewed over 500 watches. Dreadful. This is a disgrace. Now, on a positive note, it has a beautiful luster. So the finishing to the brushed satin finishing to the top side, underside and flanks is good. Visually it does look aesthetically pleasing, nice fine grained finish to the luster. But of course, because it has folded links, we have these slots, and you can see they are visible. We have these slots in the flanks, and this is a shame. Solid link bracelet would look better but also feel better because it wouldn't pull arm hairs. The negative of this bracelet is that it pulls arm hairs because the slots or the slits in the folded links, they catch arm hairs. Taper is too small, as you can see. 16 to 14 doesn't look like enough meat on the bracelet. The links do articulate freely. They don't feel stiff or kink, but of course they don't articulate as much as using push pins or screw pins because they use keys which are flat. And the problem with the keys is they don't allow as much articulation or flex in the bracelet as push pins or screw pins. I would really like to see Casio update their bracelets to solid links but also push pins or screw pins, because the problem with using these flat keys is they don't allow as much articulation. So the bracelet does flex but not as much as push pins or screw pins. Clasp on this is abhorrent. As you can see, clear cross-cutting measure. It's pressed stainless steel, and as one would expect, pressed internals versus solid milled 316L grade stainless steel, but one has to be realistic. This is €52 and this is to be expected, but it's a cost-cutting measure too far because they haven't even mirror polished the internals. So pressed 316L grade stainless steel, but it's matte bead blasted effect. They haven't even mirror polished it because this saves a fraction on production costs and therefore maximises profit margin per piece, but it's dreadful. It's not aesthetically pleasing. Let's check the hinge pins. Left-hand hinge pin articulates freely, doesn't feel stiff or kink, but dreadful. Lateral, longitudinal, side to side, up and down play in every single direction, and it rattles. It's sloppy. Centre hinge pin articulates freely, doesn't feel stiff or kink, that's the benefit, but again, rattles. Play in every single direction. Finally, let's check the right-hand hinge pin. Articulates freely, doesn't feel stiff or kink, sloppy. Play in every single direction, and it's significant play. And it rattles. Cumulative effect is left hand, centre and right hand hinge pins all have too much play, and of course the bracelet clasp rattles as a result. It's very sloppy. My concern with this is long-term durability. How long is it going to be before one of these push pins, and in the centre we've got a riveted pin, how long is it going to be before the excess load, the excess shear load on the pins causes them to shear, or alternatively the rivets to wear off and in the elongated holes, and therefore they come out and fail, and this piece drops on the ground. So long-term durability is the problem with sloppy interference fits on the pins. It's a dreadful pressed clasp, and as I've detailed, we've only got 2 micro adjustments. It just is not good quality, even at €52. On a positive note, it does snap shut with a nice positive click, and the 2-button push triggers are spring-loaded enough. So it does feel secure, it does feel reliable, but it just is a cost-cutting measure. They really should mirror polish the internals, should be a longer clasp, heavier gauge, and also tighten up the tolerances in the 3 hinge pins. So let's look at the case back in detail. So as I've detailed, this is another notable downgrade in specification. The regular Duro has a solid 316L grade stainless steel case back, which is a screw down case back providing an effective hermetic seal to 200 meters. So it's a credible dive piece. This only has a pressed on case back. Cost cutting measure too far. It should have a screw down case back providing 200 meters as per the regular Duro. Casio are capable of doing it at the €70 price point of the regular Duro. This is €52, so it's close to it. Cost cutting measure too far using a pressed on case back, and of course it only has 50 meters of hermetic seal, which is disappointing. On a positive note, the finishing is good. Concentric CNC lathe tool machining, which refracts the light, very aesthetically pleasing. The circumference is mirror polished to a good standard, so no sharp edges to the circumference, and the centre of it is engraved with the specification, the module number and the reference of the piece. So solid stainless steel case back is good. Details the module number, but it's only 50 meters, so it's a shame. They could have used a 200 meter screw down case back as per the regular Duro. Folded end links are disappointing, but they're to be expected at this price point. Now, the finishing to the underside to the head of the piece is excellent. It's concentric CNC lathe tool machined. They deburred and chamfered the undercuts to the flanks and the crown guards very well, and the tips of the lugs have large chamfers, so no sharp corners to the tips of the lugs, and the undercuts to the flanks do not have any sharp edges. The quality of the finishing to the head of the piece is excellent. Brush satin finishing has a nice grained finish to the top of the lugs. Nice large mirror polished bevel, which marks the transition between the top of the brush satin finished lugs and the longitudinal mirror polishing to the flanks. So quality of the mirror polishing to the solid 316L grade stainless steel case is good. On a positive note, I'm pleased to see they didn't use the cost cutting measure of using a brass case which is nickel plated. On some Casio pieces they use brass cases, they nickel plate them silver to give the appearance of stainless steel. This mini Duro does use a solid 316L grade stainless steel case, which is good. They haven't used the cost cutting measure of brass. So mirror polishing is good, mirror polishing to the crown guards is good, and no sharp edges to the undercuts to the flanks, which is good. So comfort level therefore is good. Now unfortunately I can't give you a wrist shot because, as you can see, the problem is bracelet is too short. Even when I remove my glove, I can't get this across my hand. So clearly this is intended for collectors with a 5 to 6 inch wrist. Even if you have a 6 inch wrist, you're really at the maximum limit of this bracelet size. It's a shame that Casio did not include enough links on the 6 o'clock and the 12 o'clock side of the bracelet to fit collectors with a larger 7 inch wrist. This certainly will not fit a 7 to 8 inch wrist because, as you can see, even with the clasp fully opened, and I'm on the maximum 2 out of 2 extensions on the micro adjustment, I can't get it over my glove. So even if I remove my glove, I can't get this over my hand to do wrist shots. So it's disappointing. The bracelet is undersized, but of course it's 36mm. One has to be realistic. This is clearly intended for collectors with a 5 to 6 inch wrist. Collectors with a 7 to 8 inch wrist are going to opt for the regular size Duro, which is suited for a 7 to 8 inch wrist. At 36mm, the proportions are clearly undersized on this piece, and the 16 to 14 taper. It really is a shame that Casio did not make this in a 39 or a 40mm to suit collectors with a 6 to 7 inch wrist and a 7 to 8 inch wrist respectively. At 36, this really is like a children's watch, it's not a gentleman's watch. So let's do a Lume test and we'll see how the Lume performs when it's charged up to the absolute maximum. So as always, I'm going to use my 100 UV LED torch to charge it up to the absolute peak. So this uses Casio Neo Bright Luminova. Now in reality, Neo Bright is just Casio's proprietary name for Luminova. It does not use Super Luminova. Neo Bright is just standard grade Luminova. Right, so that's now fully charged, and as you can see, initially the exciter looks potent both on the Lume pip, on the aluminium bezel inset, and also the indices, which aren't applied indices, they're pressed through the dial hydraulically with a hydraulic press. And the handset does look correctly proportioned, and the double indices at 12 o'clock give good orientation, but it's going to fade quickly to nothing. And this is a characteristic or a disappointment of Casio Neo Bright. They're using Luminova versus Super Luminova. Now it does visually look similar to C3, but it's clearly Luminova and not Super Luminova, and we're clearly looking at 3 to 4 layers maximum application, not the industry standard, which is 5 to 6. Now as you can see, it's quickly beginning to fade, and it will fade exponentially with time to nothing, so this is a disappointment. Really, at this stage in 2025, and bear in mind Casio are now celebrating 50 years of Casio watches, they should be upgrading to using BGW9 Super Luminova or alternatively C3 Super Luminova, which are the industry standards, even on low tier price point pieces like this mini Duro at the €52 price point, and on the regular Duro at the €70 price point. Again, collectors would happily pay an additional €5 to €10 on the retail price to have 5 to 6 layers of BGW9 or C3 Super Luminova. They would also pay an additional €5 to €10 on the retail price to have a sapphire crystal with AR coating. They are the two enhancements in specification that this piece really needs. What we're looking at is mistake after mistake, downgrade after downgrade. Now as you can see, it's now fading to nothing. So I'm just going to charge it up one more time, and you can see the potency of the exciter really lacks the potency of 5 to 6 layers as per Super Luminova, C3 and BGW9, which are the industry standards. So that's now fully charged. So initially the exciter does give a good burst of emission. It does look potent on the Lume pip, the indices and the handset. Now on a positive note, in daylight they do have the same white tone. On the Lume pip, the dial and the handset, there's not a colour tone mismatch. The Lume doesn't look whiter or creamer, but in the dark it has the same green tone, which is good. Colour tone match is good. Looks like C3 Luminova, but you can see the potency quickly expires. So really this is 3 to 4 layers maximum. It's definitely not 5 to 6. So good colour tone match, but it's just disappointing they don't upgrade it. And Casio Neo Bright really is the same as Luminova. To put it into perspective, it's similar to the performance of the Luminova that Pagani Design are using on the PD1661, which is very poor performance. And other low tier brands such as Steel Dive on the SD1953, they are capable of doing it in the low tier at the €70 price point. So really there's no excuse for Casio not upgrading to using Super Luminova. So it's disappointing, but to be expected at the €52 price point for a Casio piece. Right, so let's discuss the movement use. So as I've detailed, this is powered by the Casio module number 2784 Quartz, which is made in Japan. In reality, that's a rebranded Miyota 2115. So same module is used in the regular Duro as in this mini Duro. There's no difference. They both use the same Miyota 2115, which is made in Japan. Now it's been in service since 1981. Incredibly long production life, and therefore the reliability is unquestionably well proven. From 1981 to 2025, it's a reliable, well proven workhorse quartz module. So has 0 joules, has hacking, and a quick set date complication, which works well. 3-year battery life is very impressive, and that's the technical reason or the mechanical reason why the handset looks undersized. The pencil minute hand and the second hand look slightly short. They don't extend to the minute ticks on the chapter ring because that extends the battery life by reducing the load on the module and therefore reducing the power consumption. This extends the battery life from 2 years to 3 years respectively, so that's the mechanical reason. It has a stated accuracy of plus or minus 20 seconds per month, which is excellent. So just think about that for a second. Plus or minus 20 seconds, that's not per day or per week, that's plus or minus 20 seconds per month. Better than plus or minus 1 second per day, so incredibly accurate module. 3-year battery life is good, accuracy is good. Quick set complication works well, hacking works well. I like everything about it. It's the correct choice at this price point to be using a Miyota 2115. Above all else, I like that it's robust, it's shock resistant, it's reliable, it's durable. It's a reliable, well proven workhorse module. I really like the Miyota 2115. The hacking works very well, the time setting works very well. And of course, it's the same module used in the regular size Duro, so it's good that Casio didn't downgrade it in this mini Duro because they've downgraded so many other aspects of the specification. So I like the module. Last, I'll summarise the piece. What do I think of it overall? Well, when I'm considering reviewing a watch on my channel, the watch meets 2 criteria. It should be both excellent quality and excellent value at the respective price point. So, low tier piece, price point is €52. I'm going to declare it poor quality and I'm going to declare it poor value at €52. What we're looking at with this piece is mistake after mistake. The most disappointing aspect of this piece, which is absolutely dreadful, is the bezel execution. Lateral side to side play, back play. Doesn't feel even through the 360 degrees, feels too light, sounds dreadful, feels very light and tinny. It's also misaligned. They've got every single aspect of the bezel execution wrong. They are capable of doing it and getting it right in every aspect on the regular sized Duro, so there's no excuse. Also 60 clicks versus 120 clicks. It's absolute nonsense to change or to downgrade that specification. 50 meters, push-pull crown, pressed on case back versus a screw down crown with 200 meters and a screw down case back with 200 meters as per the regular Duro. Downgrade after downgrade, mistake after mistake. This bracelet pulls arm hairs, it's sloppy. The clasp is abhorrent, it's dreadful. It's just cost-cutting measure after cost-cutting measure. And one has to be magnanimous and expect some cost-cutting at €52. One has to be realistic. But the €70 price point of the regular Duro, that is a heavy hitter. It cannot be beaten at €70 for a quartz piece. I've declared that a champagne watch for lemonade money because it is excellent quality and excellent value. It's a credible 200 metre dive piece with a screw-down crown, screw-down case back and an excellent bezel execution. One can be magnanimous about the mineral crystal and lack of AR coating at €70. This piece is dreadful. Everything about it is a mistake. So bezel execution is poor, push-pull crown is disappointing, pressed on case back is disappointing, performance of the Casio Neo Bright is dreadful. So really, it's a shame that Casio didn't make a 39 or a 40mm version of the Duro rather than this dreadful children's watch. It's not a gentleman's watch. I consider this a children's watch. It's really like a children's toy. 50 meters means it's not a credible dive piece as per the Duro with 200 meters. Push-pull crown, pressed on case back, dreadful bezel. It's suitable to be gifted to a child as a toy, but it's not a gentleman's watch. Above all else, the taper is incorrect. 16 down to 14. It looks like a lady's watch. And everything about this is just disappointment after disappointment at €52. It's one of the worst Casio pieces I have reviewed on my channel, and I've reviewed a plethora of Casio watches over the years. I've reviewed several versions of the regular Duro. I've modified a Duro. That is a champagne watch for lemonade money. My advice to you is purchase a regular Casio Duro. That is a champagne watch for lemonade money. At the €70 price point, it's fantastic. This is dreadful. It's an abhorrent piece. I'm not going to recommend it for your consideration. Poor quality and poor value. So I hope you've enjoyed my review of the Casio MDV-10D-4A1V Duro. Please feel free to post your own comments below the video. Thank you for watching.